everybody. Welcome back to episode 10 of our So Spiritual daily broadcast here live on Facebook, Instagram, and the transCODES Empath Forum. My name is bryndis. I'm a professional energy healer, and I'm trying to guide you through some of the topics here of modern spirituality. We've already recorded a wonderful series here of hot topics. Yesterday we talked about plant medicines, and I want to thank you guys for sharing, for caring, for contributing, and for asking questions. So this is what I do this for live here, namely so that we can see that we're not alone with some of our sensations or some of our perceptions or some of these things that are hard to talk about with other people. Okay, and when you post and when you contribute with questions or show others that you are sort of in that very same realm with them, then you're also helping others. Now, I'm not getting the live signal here on Facebook yet. Let me double check if we are live, guys. This is not clear yet. We may just have a very long delay. Those of you on Instagram, just stay with me here. Wave to me, send me hearts, like the video, and let us know what country you are watching from. We're going to be talking about karma and especially karmic relationships today. So the question I'm going to have for you later is if you have noticed that there are things in your life, that repeat, themes that repeat, and especially in regards to your relationships, like the same kind of people that you meet, the same kind of problems that you run into in your relationships. So let me know. Yes, we are live on Facebook as well. Welcome South Africa, Canada, Australia, and the United States. It's so good to have you here. Yes, so please send me a quick heart or like so I know how long our delay is. At the beginning of our live broadcast, I'm always reflecting on the daily energies, what is sort of collectively affecting us today. And today seems like a really, really good day. Okay, so I'm going to set the stress gauge for today on yes, I can. There's like a hopefulness there. There's like a new sort of positivity, optimism coming in. And I want you guys to really enjoy this day here. This morning, we're going to be talking about some of these patterns in life. And, as you could already make out here throughout the series, there is a lot of emphasis on working through some of these issues that recur in our life. And a big subject in this regards is, like really understanding these patterns and these things that keep pulling you into, like, say, maybe the same blocks or the same type of places, where you keep experiencing yourself making the same mistakes over and over again. And I want to illuminate this a little bit for you. Yes, and it looks like we have roughly a minute delay. Okay, so when I ask you questions, it takes about a minute till I see your answers. And hello to everybody here on Instagram. I see you guys. Yes, so the question for you here today is, have you noticed that there are certain things, certain types of people, certain types of situations, certain types of relationships that you keep getting pulled into? And if so, share them with us, because I want everyone watching to see that this is a common phenomenon. So psychology actually confirms this and comes up with statistics that show that 85 to 90% of us repeat things that we are familiar with, whether they are functional or not, whether they are good for us or not. And this has to do with two major aspects that affect us in our life's choices. One is the nature of our ego. Our ego likes the known, likes the familiar, and whether or not it's dangerous or straight out destructive for us, if given the choice, your ego will always choose, disaster if it is familiar with that kind of disaster. And it will shy away from new things, from learning, from expanding. And this is detrimental here right now, because we are in a global awakening phase of our societies. This means that we are being forced to grow, okay? And that isn't easy to work this into our life, because especially if we are young, how are we supposed to get all this together, to be successful in life, to pick a job, to pick a partner, and all that, knowing that there is so much change ahead and so much uncertainty. And the other aspect that is influencing our choices in life is our personal karma, as well as some of the karma that we can see in running in families. So there is a little bit of an aspect here that has to do with stuff that your ancestors, or your direct lineage, your parents, your grandparents did not resolve, that gets handed over to you. So some of the challenges or patterns that you experience in your life actually have to do with your parents. And it's not like it's their fault, it's that it's in the nature of lineages that, everything that is learned in one generation gets handed over to the next generation. We call this epigenetics. Okay, so there's a karmic aspect to that. And then there is an aspect that comes in through the collective itself. All right, what I mentioned earlier with these global awakening, global or collective evolutionary phases that, depending on basically the time and age that we are born into, brings in a karmic task. So the karmic collective task right now is to overcome the fear of the unknown, and also to bring balance into our physical existence through accepting that we are a soul with a body and not a body with a soul. So this is a whole entire collective paradigm shift, okay? And then lastly, we have those aspects that come in through our very personal karma. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about karma, and I want to talk about this a little bit here today. And I know that if you have not really thought about this, and you see karma as kind of sort of maybe divine punishment, or you see this as part of your past lives. Who of you has a connection to, maybe in your dream world, or in through deja vus, or maybe some of you have done hypnotherapy and past life regression, but who of you has a feeling or a sense for past lives or other dimensional existences? Who of you can make out that you definitely have had existences on this plane before? And while we're getting past the delay, I can share something from my own life, which may sound a little funny, but when I was younger, I could not get over the fact that I am a woman. My entire dream life, my entire sort of etheric life was male. In my dreams, I had entire lifetimes as a guy, okay? I had, wives, and I had girlfriends, and I always saw myself as a guy, and I felt so misplaced in this physical female body that I was convinced, the first 20 years of my life, that this was some kind of karmic punishment. Has anybody else had this? before, this misplaced feeling, or like you have to come, you know, sort of make up for something. Yes, I can see your chat now. I can see this. Yes, many people are confirming this here. Yes, you have encountered several past lives, déjà vus, yes. Yes, a lot of people have confirmed this, similar things. Yes, being a female feels like karmic punishment, so eloquently said. Well, you know, I'm speaking from my own experience. Yes, a lot of people have this with the female aspects. It's interesting, isn't it? So there is something about this female body, you know, that we often perceive as punishment in this day or time, and maybe also over the generations, because not to come up with a sob story here, but you know, women typically experience a bit more restriction. Growing up, it isn't until you get a little older that you realize some of the cool aspects of it. But for us as a whole entire collective, accepting and growing into the feminine aspects of our existence is a karmic task. And I want to clarify this for you. This has nothing to do with punishment. This has something to do with growth, okay? Because in this big scheme of things, you know, the energetic view of things, it's all about bringing in balance, you know, to where there is duality, to where there are opposites, okay? And it is in the nature of our physical existence itself that we are experiencing duality here. You've got to look at it from a soul perspective, you know. As a soul, you are neither male or female. You are unified. You are one. You're one with all, okay? And you come into this 3D existence, you incarnate in this body that is not only mortal, which brings in a whole different set of issues, but you also experience the duality of masculinity and femininity as in the different genders, but also within yourself. So I have already mentioned this a few times, that you know, when I talk about masculine and feminine energies as a karmic collective task, I'm not just talking about gender-specific aspects. I'm also talking about the unification of masculine and feminine energies within. Yes, the female restriction is what a lot of us have issues with, the menstrual cycle, and of course the fear of getting pregnant and all that, because nowadays that is not really part of our sort of primary task. And yet we have to deal with this from a very early age. That's great. Yeah, so in context with karma, though, try to look at these things more as a spiritual task. Namely, how can you fully grow into your body? How can you fully accept the dualities in life as a soul self? This is kind of like this journey that we are all on. This is what spiritual awakening is all about, guys. This is about transcending these restrictions that we perceive in our 3D lives. And it doesn't matter what circumstances we were born into. From a soul perspective, we indeed actually pick those. We pick the parents, we pick the country, we pick the ethnic background that we are born into, to provide an optimal learning experience for us here in this realm to fulfill our karmic task. Yes, Sri Devi, I love how you said that. It feels like the person inside is not recognized outside. That's a very good way to describe this inner conflict that we all have. It feels like we have these two selves in us, okay? We have the soul self, or the true self within, and this experiences things from, you know, a a more non-dualistic, a non-linear, sort of spiritual perspective. And then we have the 3D part, the 3D self in us that experiences things from an ego perspective. Survival and success and comparison and judgment and all this. And if you look at it, as sort of the human dilemma or the condition of our humanness, and don't take this too personally, then you can actually work past this and you can begin to see some of these layers of collective karma and some of these layers of personal karma. And this is then where sort of our personal consciousness work comes in learning how to discern this. So what are these parts in me that are more or less just dealing with this collective pain, this collective phantom pain, and what are these parts of me that are being called or being asked to transcend some of my personal karmic aspects. And guys, the best way to discern is actually by your relationships, is by how you approach life, how you approach and how you interact with others. So that's why karmic relationships are wonderful, wonderful learning tools for us here on this journey. Sandy, yes, you couldn't have kids and you wondered about the karmic lesson as to why. And you learned that you have to love yourself first. The question why some things, especially traumas or specific events that feel sort of like a punishment happen to us in life, is of course difficult to answer, at least here in this setting. This is part of like what these personal energy coaching sessions with me are about, because we can read this out for you. But primarily when these restrictions come into our life, it has to do with the fact that this is not part of our task in this lifetime. Okay, so it's okay to contextualize it that way, that you have to love yourself first, but sometimes out of our restriction, whether it's physical restrictions or, financial restrictions or religious restrictions, there's many different restrictions that we can experience in this lifetime. They are there for us to be steered into a specific direction. And oftentimes, in my experience, those people who pick those restrictive circumstances for this lifetime have a task that is beyond their own, fulfillment or satisfaction. So, oftentimes people come in with a contract, a soul contract that has to do with being of service to others. And so through our personal restrictions, we then learn valuable tools to transcend them and help others to get through them. So I know that this sounds a bit sort of God works in mysterious ways, but there is, something like divine order in everything. And if you want to understand karma in its essence, you have to understand that there is a divine order in things, meaning that things do not happen randomly. We do have a free will. We do have a choice as to how, we fill this up here in the time that is given to us. But as far as, our karmic task is concerned and what we came here for is pretty much set at birth or before birth even. Yes, it was simply not your journey. And it's easy, of course, to say this when, this is a particular restriction isn't part of your life. But if we all go deep within ourselves, we'll find that we all have restrictions in one way or another. The cool part is, though, we also all have specific talents. We have specific things that help us along the way. And here is where most of us get stuck. We get stuck in the victimhood of the perception of our restriction, or, you know, we blame others. We don't really see the sense in things, and then, you know, we externalize all this. And as you do this, guys, you're missing out on the cool part of karma. You're missing out on your gifts and your talents. So if it's any consolation for you, no matter what the suffering or the drama is in your life, there is a hidden treasure, there is a hidden talent, superpower, if you will, behind that is yours to, you know, to discover, that is yours to tune into and see this. Thanks for confirming this, guys. I love your comments. This has a lot to do with, you know, really feeling into this soul agreement that you came here with. And it's easier for some of us who have a developed perception, internal perception, you know, where we can connect with these things. And you know, I mentioned hypnotherapy, past life transgressions and so forth. Those are tools as well. But a common mistake that I see that people do is that they get hung up on past lives, okay, and that they make them special, or that they, you know, then use this sort of as a projection of themselves, you know, basically living in the past. I do not recommend to go too deep into past lives, but they can deliver vital clues as to what you came here for, what your karmic purpose is. And let's clarify this here real quick. Yes, you know, there is no such thing as good or bad karma, guys. Karma is the consequence of your alignment in a specific moment of making a choice. So the way your life develops is basically the consequential. I got tangled up here. It's basically sort of the continual expression of who you have become. And this is a big issue nowadays, because many people don't know who they are. Many people don't know, you know, what they're supposed to do, because they feel all this bombardment from the outside. And, you know, this personal consciousness work and energy training are tools that can help you through this, guys. Is there anybody here who has been working with me at transCODES for a while and has gone through some of these karmic clearings and karma work that I do with people? Is there anybody here who would like to share something, you know, what this has done for you? And while, you know, we have a delay here, while you are maybe typing this up, guys, let's talk about karmic relationships and soulmates and twin souls and all this real quick. Okay, cool. There are some people here who have worked through this. Can you share with others what, on your deepest inner level, what this is helping you to do, just so that it's not just me, you know, or hearsay, or sort of what I teach. Nice, Svetlana. It helped you to release a lot of the anger that you had toward your mother and your father. Yes, by understanding the larger context. Yes, Grace Denise Parada, it has showed you that you have the right to be here, even if you doubt yourself sometimes. And the right to be safe, the right to belong, and that this is coming from within and not through others. Cool, Sergio. Thank you for sharing this. It has helped you to shed some weight off your shoulders that you have been carrying. We are feeling responsible for everything. It's not that we're not responsible. We're still accountable for all our choices, but it can explain to us why we have a tendency to make specific choices. Heather, it's helping you to see your personal patterns and to accept your life as is. Carrie, very significant Oh, okay, we're gonna talk about this, Carrie. This is a really good one. Yeah, so karmic relationships, soulmates, twin flames, okay? You know, there's a lot of writing and a lot of workshops that I've done in the past about this, because there's a lot of need to clarify this, and I will not cover this in specifics here in the So Spiritual, at least not in this series. But I can assure you that there's a reason why you meet certain people, and why you also have a tendency to meet same kind of people. They may not all look the same, but they may have very similar energy signatures that keep sort of attracting you in them. And here's Carrie sharing that you know, every significant male in your life is an alcoholic, and asking if this is a recurring pattern. It's cool. Yes, Carrie, that is a karmic pattern. That has to do with your family karma. It's something that runs in your lineage that has to be worked through. And I can so relate to this. I'm the daughter, I'm the sister, I'm the niece, the nephew, the granddaughter of alcoholic males. And it took me a while to recognize that all my early relationships, with one exception, were all around addictive patterns, especially alcohol. And once you can accept that, like Heather said, that this is part of your karmic task, you know, then you begin to see the lesson in this and what you need to do, you know, in order to transcend this. So the first step is to acknowledge these things. The second step is then to accept them, but not as in sucking up, but to accept them as like clue, as like true self-prompting, okay? This means you got to do something about this, because if you don't, you're going to end up in those kind of relationships, or perhaps even alcoholism yourself, you know, in your life. And I would love to talk to you about this, and maybe we can dedicate one episode here to alcoholism, because it's such a big issue. Yesterday we talked about pot smoking, and if you haven't watched the episode 9 about plant medicines, where I had Jeff Casper here, and we talked in detail about some of these issues that come with using substances and numbing our pain. Sometimes it's karmic pain that we have, and that explains why some of us feel more drawn to alcohol, or smoking pot, or you know, other heavier drugs. Underneath all this, guys, and this is something that the energetic perspective clearly proves, is a deep, and I'm using sort of Christian terms here, but only for the lack of a better sort of vocabulary, and that is this pain of being separated from our soul self, from God. And so, you know, these drugs, some people have their first spiritual experiences with taking drugs or with alcohol, and that then sets them up for these recurring karmic experiences where they begin to externalize the connection with their soul self, with God, to the substance. And that's, you know, why we, or so many of us, end up in these vicious addictive cycles. Yes, Sandy, there's a lot of confusion about the messages that are out here on the web, you know, about twin flames and twin souls and soulmates. You know, I can't, because the video, transCODES YouTube channel, there are entire webinars work the subject in length. The main thing I think that people miss here when they make these things like soulmates and twin flames, especially, is that karmic nature, meaning that there is a reason, or what they are feeling, you know, the connection to the other person is not what they think it is. It is a karmic sort of task that is in this encounter, in this relationship. I can see that I'm blipping out here on Facebook. Sorry guys for this. I hope that I have a good recording here on my computer that I will send out as the edited version. Yes, Amanda, you've noticed that every partner you fall for or ends up not loving you back, that is also part of a karmic task. It means that, you know, that you have to learn how to love yourself first. If you are seeking this love, you know, whether it is, you know, the love to that we feel through belonging or through being with someone, if we are trying to find this on the outside, we inevitably steer ourselves into this externalization of our love and of our powers too. And that's why it becomes so painful when we are not loved back. This is a big issue for most people. And energy work can help with this, guys, because, you know, you can really train this. You can really, you know, practice connecting with your own heart and learn how to love yourself. And then you begin to see how all these problems in the past were all just because you couldn't really tune into yourself. And by the way, this reminds me, on Monday, the 31st of December, we have the free Connect with Your True Self remote energy training and healing session here at transCODES. So it's free for everybody. We've been doing this for years at 10 a.m. Eastern US time. So if you would like to get a little bit of a taste what it's like to use energy work to connect with yourself, you know, then come to the session. There's myself and a group of these fantastic energy healers here at transCODES sitting on the other side, reading out your energy during the process and reflecting this back to you, giving you free energy coaching in our empath forum. So check the transCODES website for this. Yes, and I'm getting a lot of responses here. Guys, this is wonderful to see all this talking about this, because this is really what you need. You know, you need to exchange for these kind of things on this level. Svetlana, you used to have a lot of resentments towards your mother, especially for the choices she's made. You know, obviously that restricted you. But when I realized she had her own deeper issues, her own karmic tasks, you know, you could feel more compassion. You didn't feel that much anger anymore. Congratulations. This is what it means to work through some of our family patterns. Sri Devi, yes, you recognize the karmic cycles at work, like choosing certain kinds of jobs and the relationships and friendships as well. And very cool that you've noticed this. You've noticed that you gravitate towards other sensitives. Guys, this is so important to understand. As energetically sensitives and empaths, we have a recognition for other sensitives, other empaths. The problem is, though, that we all are still a little lost with this new sense, this energetic perceptivity. And so we come up with these addictive or these coping patterns that you know, put us on all different ends of the scale here. Some of us become addicted, some of us become narcissistic. I know this isn't what most of you want to hear, because especially the female empaths amongst us have felt really victimized by sort of narcissists. But you know, when you look at the deeper energetic aspects and especially the karmic aspects, you'll find that narcissists are empaths too. They're just on the other end of the scale and have misused their talents, the ones that I mentioned in the beginning, you know, for a different realization of love. But it's the same problem. So it's only compassion really and forgiveness that can help us through this. It doesn't mean that you have to continue having relationships with narcissists, but seeing this and letting this go and transcending it this way. Yes. Thank you, Heather, for pointing this out for others. You know, after all is recognized and accepted, and you really, you know, go into the self-responsible place with this, you know, then true change and shifts occur in your life, and you really move, you begin to actively move into fulfillment. And that is then what answers all these deep questions for you. You know, who am I? What did I come here for? So there's no way to get there and fulfillment in life, and also, you know, sort of positive manifestation without facing some of these painful or scary questions. But energy work can help with this, because it allows you to heal this and to train this in a safe environment. Yes, and I won't be able to comment to all of you guys' questions and contributions here. But I love what you're sharing, guys, and I love the fact that you are also, you know, helping others with this here. Thank you so much. Yes, Michael Jata, karmic clearings are amazing. It's like removing the attachments of unhealthy habits, energetic as well, alcoholic partners, and all that codependency, big keyword, you know, can pull you out of your center and really make you feel lost. So these things need to be addressed. Oh, I love your guys' hearts. Oh my God, shower me. Yes, wonderful. And it can be applied to relationships, works, jobs, careers, and everything. Yes. So there's hope, guys. When you are willing to work with yourself, you know, and not numb yourself, not try to opt out. There's so much that can be discovered and worked through. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here, for opening up with me, and letting others know that they're not alone. I'm going to be here again tomorrow, same time, 12 p.m. Eastern time, for our episode number 11. And I want to talk to you about another big subject here. And that is, what does it mean to be a spiritual man? What does it mean to be a spiritual woman? And of course, underneath all that, what does it mean to live a life as a true self? So I'm looking forward to having you guys here. I hope you share just as vividly. I can't wait to have you here again. Bye-bye, everybody. Don't forget to share the video so others can see this too.